made him smile this week. I'd love to hear what others say. 13th month pay, always a wonderful surprise to get an additional amount of money in our wallet. And yes, Elias is correct. The graduation in UTEL just last week. So congratulations, everyone, for a week that made you smile. One of the things we really want to make sure of is that you have the attitude of gratitude, because you can encounter so many different things, but when you have that attitude of gratitude, you're going to have an even better week ahead, right? So just use your thumbs up if you agree with me in that. Well, my happy pill is that, as the externals director of our strengths movement in the Philippines, we're actually moving forward with some of our projects to give free coaching to our nurses and to the public school teachers. So I'm really excited about that as well. Okay, so maybe we can start already with our program. And let me just make sure that I have the slides up and running. So definitely, again, attitude of gratitude is something that is important for us to have, right? And today we're going to talk about something very important. But before that, let me introduce myself. Now, Elias made me sound so old when he said I have 20 years of experience. I'm not as old as you might think, because I have a kid's heart, right? But definitely it's important for you to know that I am the founder of an organization called Winner Strengths, and we develop coaching programs for clients around the world. Now, I grew up in a little city on top of the mountains here in the Philippines, and I worked my way through college to earn a diploma to get Latin honors. And then I bring with me, as Elias mentioned, years of corporate experience. I was a guidance counselor for high school, and all those wonderful things. But then I jumped into private practice to become a strengths coach 3 years ago. And I have a challenge to anyone who would like to be a coach. Now, coaching is not about having a title. Coaching is not about doing it as a profession. Coaching is actually a mindset that you can apply at home with your spouse, with your kids, with your family members. Coaching is a mindset that you can apply at work with your leaders, with your team members. And if you own a business, coaching is something that you can also apply to grow your business. So I'm going to ask you if this is something that's important to you. Do you know what you're good at? Do you know how you do it? And most importantly, do you know why you do it? Now, for me, I had to really ask myself those questions, because when I got my coaching certification, it took me 2 weeks, 7 plus 7, 14 days to book my first international clients. And in less than 1 year, I signed up clients in 7 continents, because I know what I'm good at. I am proud that my clients return with 100% satisfaction rating. And in 2022, Winner Strengths will engage clients to become evangelizers of our advocacy. I know how to do it. Now, you will be told time and again to remove yourself from the equation during a coaching conversation. As a coach, you try to, keep yourself at the minimum. But I will always argue that you will always inadvertently bring yourself to a coaching conversation. So please be aware of who you are. Be aware of the power and the edge that only you can bring. And most importantly, let us know why you do this. Now, I try to share successes, not because I want to hear applause. I actually share stories so that people may believe that if someone like me, who grew up in a quiet city on top of the mountains in a remote part of a third world country, could do this, you too have the power to make a change. I believe everyone has a unique set of talents, and that all of us has what it takes to achieve a future that we desire. My name is Coach Apa. I activate global communities of strengths-inspired achievers, and I am honored to be with you today. Now, our topic is about the 3 steps to exuberant coaching. Now, I dream big. I see Abby is here, right? So Abby is a good friend from the Philippines, and she knows I always dream big. What is my dream for the next 20 minutes? My dream is to help you open a door that will change your life. Yes, hopefully also the lives of people that you will speak with starting today. You will gain clarity on what you do, how you do it, and why you do it. So I'm going to ask for three simple things. The first one is presence. Now, I know you're physically present, you're in the call. Some of you are not turning on their videos, maybe because of bandwidth issues. Maybe you're having your dinner or your breakfast. That's perfectly fine. But presence means that you're not just physically in front of your device, you're also mentally present. I'll ask you to be also emotionally present. Some of the topics I'll cover will trigger some emotions. I'd like you to be able to, embrace that and be present. And that's going to lead us to the next thing that I require, which is called participation. So some of you might be shy to chat, but I really will encourage that you chat your thoughts because participation is a wonderful way to learn, right? You're not here just because you want to waste 20 minutes of your time. You are here because you want something, you want to gain something. And I'd like you to bring that to the third letter P. Aside from presence and participation, I want you to think of your purpose. Why are you here? Why are you thinking of going and having a higher degree? There has to be a purpose there. So let me know also if it's okay for you to receive a talk that will help you become an exuberant coach. So again, coaching is in the mindset of parenting, coaching in the mindset of business, coaching at work. So if you're okay with understanding that there is a way, a concrete way for you to be exuberant, I'd like you to just type yes in the chat box. And I'd like to ask permission from all of you before I continue. So let me see some yeses there. Right. Thank you, JR, for saying yes. Yes, yes, yes. Definitely, I promise you, this is going to blow your mind. Okay. The word exuberance is something that many people don't understand. Okay. In English, it's also happy. I'm sure in Spanish, it's feliz, right? Did I say it right? Feliz. So exuberance is something we all aspire to have, right? But because of what happened in the past 2 years, we've had COVID. We know that the next big thing around the world is mental health concerns. It's already happening right now. How can you feel feliz if that's happening around you? How can we, and exuberance is not just feliz, by the way, it's muy feliz. How can you have that? Now, there was a time in my life where I was doing very well in an organization and I received a letter saying, thank you very much, but we don't need you anymore. Right? I had just bought a house, I just bought a car, and here comes my employer saying, Apa, goodbye. We don't need you anymore. How can you be feliz? How can you be muy feliz when that happens? And a few weeks after, my youngest son was born. Of course, this is a very exciting time for any parent. But when you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to change diapers every day, you don't have sleep, you don't even know where you're going to get your money for your electricity bill. How can you be feliz? How can you be exuberant? And just when I thought everything was going to be okay, my father passed away. I lost my dad. Tell me, can you be feliz? Can you be exuberant? And that's when I realized that exuberance is not a feeling. It is a mindset that your world can turn upside down and you can still appreciate it. You can still do something about it. And that's the advocacy, that's the message I try to share with people, that exuberance is not a feeling, it is a mindset. And because of that, I decided, okay, let me see what I can do for coaching. Coaching is, in the words of one of the people I admire, Don Clifton, the father of strength psychology, he says, what would happen if we focused on what makes us strong instead of fixating on what is wrong? Growing up, Maybe our parents told us, why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be someone else? We always find that there's something wrong with us. We do that with our kids all the time. Why can't you be something else? You're okay, except that. And we always find a way to say there's something wrong. But what if we just fixated instead on what makes people strong? When you fixate on what is wrong, you will just make things okay. And that's not the goal of life. The goal of life is not to be just okay. It's not about surviving. It is about thriving. So that is what coaching does. And if you have this desire to be a coach, help people discover how they can thrive instead of just survive. Now, I decided to be certified with an organization called Gallup. Gallup is one of the world's best when it comes to research for leadership and organizational development. Gallup is actually used by 90+% of Fortune 500 companies. They have a global impact with their researches. And as of now, there are over 25 million people who have taken an assessment called Strengths Finder. So they discover their strength, internal strength, using a scientifically developed tool. I'm proud to be a part of the Gallup organization as an independent coach. And after being the head of learning and development in one of the biggest banks in the Philippines, I kind of looked at all these different tools and I chose Gallup. Personally, I'm biased. It's like the Rolls Royce of coaching for me. Now, Gallup publishes a lot of books, and one of the best books that they've written so far is a book called Wellbeing. This is something that all of us want to achieve, right? Now, there are 5 elements of well-being that they have been able to study in over 150 countries. This gives us a lens into the well-being of more than 98% of the world's population. So from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe, we asked hundreds of questions about health, wealth, relationships, jobs, communities. And then we compared these results to how people experience their days and evaluate their overall lives. Now, while 66% of people would say they're doing well in at least one of these 5 areas, there are just 7% who will say that they are thriving in all 5. So let me just walk you through what these 5 are. The first one is called physical, right? So this is something that I need to do. JR, please help me. Physical is when you do your exercises in the morning, you eat a healthy food, you're able to do what you're supposed to do. Rodrigo is doing it right. You're drinking something, you're hydrating. Physical well-being is important. Okay, that's one. Second is about community. All right, community is about the bigger scope, let's say your whole nation. My country, the Philippines, is going to have an election next year. So we want people to be active in the discussions. Doesn't matter who you're going to vote for, as long as we talk about the issues, right? And that brings about a healthy well-being. And it's important that you have that community well-being. The third is called financial. It doesn't mean that you're rich. It just means that you know where your money is going, right? That you're able to set aside certain funds for your future, maybe set aside certain funds for your education, right? Because you know that getting a higher degree will allow you an even bigger paycheck in the future. So that's financial well-being. And I'm sure many of you are doing that already. The fourth element of well-being is called social well-being. It's called social, but as you can see in the design, it's like 2 people that's sharing a heart. These are the more intimate relationships you have compared to the community that's a very big group. Social would be those very intimate relationships that you have. And we know for a fact that many marriages fail because of a lot of factors. And it's nice that we have a thermometer to check how's our social well-being like. And I go back to the fifth, which is purpose. Many people who have all those other elements of well-being who do not have a purpose are not really well. They cannot thrive if they don't have a purpose. So if you have not articulated your purpose yet, please find time over the next few days, maybe the next few weeks, to define your purpose. Why do you aspire to have higher education? What is that purpose? Who are you going to help? What is that purpose? And then you can say, I would like to thrive in all five. So I'd like you to use the chat now, and please chat the area that you're already strong in, the area, that single area of well-being that you're really happy with as a person. There are no right or wrong answers, and we're not going to judge. So JR, purpose, yes. Mark says social. I love it. Let's keep on sharing what you think you are good at already, but never forget there are areas that you can probably still improve on as we go along. All right. Now, I talked about 3 steps. And just to make it easy for everyone, I'm going to use 3-letter Ds. The first one is called disruption. The second is called discovery. And the third would be defining moments. Now, you can use this concept in your life, in your work, in your relationships. But I'd also like you to think about these 3-letter Ds in your goal to become a coach. Again, not necessarily a certified coach, but to have that coaching mindset. And remember that the exuberant life, the muy feliz life, is not just for you, but for the people that your creator or the universe, however you want to call your God, will send your way. Because he will send people your way, and you just need to be able to help them experience an exuberant life. So are you interested in discovering these 3-letter Ds? Do a thumbs up, right? I missed the music earlier because it was really active. So maybe you can dance with me, Rodrigo. Delia, I'd like you to dance as well. Okay, the 3-letter Ds, we start with disruption. Now, we know that disruption is something that has happened to us. And just that we think that, everything's going to be okay, we have another variant. And some countries are now closing their borders once again. COVID has caused us to lose a lot of income. Right? Many people have lost their jobs. Sadly, many people also lost loved ones. I personally have lost an uncle and an aunt a few weeks ago. We've been disrupted, right? We feel that somehow we're victims of something that's happening in our lives, and we feel that we cannot do something about it. That's disruption. When you're suddenly surprised. Take, for example, a taxi driver. I don't know if you still know what a taxi is. The taxis used to own their own vehicles, right? So you would see a taxi driver owning his own vehicle. Every morning he would make sure it's clean and all that stuff. But he got disrupted by an organization called Uber. And Uber didn't even have to buy taxis. They just set up an app. All around the world, taxi owners got disrupted. I have a few friends whose families owned hotels, right? And I lived in a mountain city. There are a lot of hotels there. And they thought it was okay because you get tourists, and people were booking directly with them. But then they got disrupted by a company called Agoda. And now people just go online, look for, hotels, and then they book it. That's what we do now. And that company, Agoda, didn't even have to buy hotels. They don't even have to improve those hotels. But the hotel owners, they were really disrupted by that. I'm sure you can think of a lot of other examples of how industries were disrupted. And I'm really proud to be a speaker today. You know why? Because UTEL is disrupting the industry of education. And that goes to show that we can choose not to be victims, but we can do something about it. Now, in the realm of coaching, there are several areas that are disrupted. Building rapport is one. When I became a coach and I decided to coach all around the world, I knew I couldn't fly every day. I knew I wanted to do it online. So in fact, I was already coaching prior to COVID. I was coaching online via Zoom, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp. I even had clients from the Middle East where the government did not allow video calls. So we would be texting each other. My clients and I would be texting, would be sending SMS messages. And that was the coaching conversation. And my fellow coaches were just shaking their heads and they were saying, that's not going to build rapport. Well, guess what? COVID happened. And then I was surprised to become the subject matter expert among my friends since they were asking, how do you do online coaching, Apa? Can you teach us to build rapport when you haven't physically met the person you're speaking with? So definitely building rapport is something that's been disrupted, but you have a choice whether you want to be disrupted or you start, maneuvering around it. Sometimes setting goals, and if you notice that 2, 3, 4, and 5 I don't know if you've heard of the format called GROW, GROW. When you want to coach anyone or when you just want to have a very productive meeting, you start with the question, what is our goal? What is success like? In the next 20 minutes, what's going to be our definition of success? Sometimes in coaching, we have clients who cannot set goals. You please don't move on to any other discussion unless you know specifically what your client wants to achieve. So sometimes it's hard to set goals, especially when your client really isn't sure about what they want to do. So challenge them. Number 3 is about raising awareness of reality. They want the goal. They'll say, okay, I want to earn $1 million in 1 month. And you ask them, okay, how much money did you earn last month? And they say $20. So some people have a really weird sense of reality. And as a coach, you can't really pinpoint and tell them that, their sense of reality is wrong. You just need to find a way to help them understand what their reality is. The raising of awareness can be disrupted in coaching. Then once they already know their reality, it's now important that they seek options. What are the possibilities? And some people have a hard time saying, this is option 1, this is option 2, this is option 3. There's a concept called learned helplessness, where people have tried and tried and tried and failed and failed and failed. And then they tell themselves, I'm not going to try anymore because I'm just going to fail. So as a coach, you help them around that concept of learned helplessness. Help them open doors to see what are the options out there. So that number 5, you can finally be able to set action plans with them. Something that's really specific, measurable, and attainable in the next few weeks. And part of coaching will sometimes be about following through, especially when the person you're coaching is someone close to your heart. You probably live with the person. So you need to be able to follow through as a coach. Okay, so I'd like you to just type in the chat room. What areas do you consider the most important in a coaching conversation? So wear 1 or 2 hats. Either A, you are a coach, you've been coaching already, and you feel that one of the 6 is really important, just type it in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. If you haven't done coaching professionally, maybe there's somebody who coached you. So ask yourself, what was the most important part of that coaching conversation? So just type in, was it building rapport? Was it setting the goals? So you can just type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Now don't be shy, I won't bite. So JR is finalizing action plans. You could have just said 5, but maybe you just want to really use your fingers, right? Okay, so yeah, wonderful. Think of those things, because when you're now able to name it, you can tame it. So if there are problems there and you're naming it, that's a good thing. You can tame it as well. So maybe this talk about disruption allows us to think that the reality is, although you can be disrupted, it is your choice to just be a victim or not. Every day I ask for the prayer for grace to accept the things I cannot change. But I also ask for that strength to control what I can. When you realize that you can either disrupt or just be a victim and be disrupted, find out the things that you can control. If you cannot control it, then there's one thing you can do. It's called influence. So control what you can, influence what you cannot, and then ask for the wisdom to know the difference. But definitely don't just say, I am a victim. Things are going to happen in my life and I have no control over it. So type in the chat box, say, I am in control. I'd like to see that. I am in control. The future is going to happen because you are in control. Great. Wonderful. So that's about disruption. We're now going to move on to the next, which is called discovery. Now, here in discovery, we are going to see two different things. In order for you to have an exuberant life as a coach, you need to discover, one, the landscape around you. And number two, very importantly, discover who you are. We'll have one slide about the landscape. So we did a little research, and according to, this is like a LinkedIn post. Based on current estimates, there are 5.8 million coaches worldwide. Why do you want to be a coach? There are already 5.8 million coaches, right? And 92% of these are even active. So they already have clients. Does the world still need you? I mean, there's 5.86 million. The answer is yes, the world still needs you. Did you know that out of the 5.8 million, there are 42% who are in the United States. That's a total of around 2.8 million in the United States. So imagine the scarcity in other countries. Other countries need a coach. And by the way, the coach is not there to speak to you because your life is okay. Your coach is there to help you break your barriers. Even the best boxers in the world, they get a coach. I don't know if you guys know Manny Pacquiao. He's this boxer from the Philippines. He had a lot of titles. He got that because he has a coach. So if you think that you would like to be a coach, go ahead. Because even if you think that the market is saturated, the demand still appears to be growing. In fact, it's one of the biggest growing industries in the world. I have had clients who started off as clients, and they are now certified coaches as well. I want to help build more coaches around the world. The world needs coaches. So Rodrigo is smiling because I think he's going to get certified soon. Okay, aside from discovering the landscape, I want you to also discover your own uniqueness. And there are a lot of tools that you can choose from. If you want free tools, you go online and then they're going to tell you which kind of Star Wars character you are. Okay, they're gonna tell you what kind of character you are from a favorite sitcom like Friends, right? Those are the not so serious studies that will tell you what's really unique about you. In order for you to discover your uniqueness, look for a tool that is scientifically proven. And here are some of the tools that we've used in the corporate setting. You have like the Enneagram, which will tell you about the 9 different dimensions. You'll have the 16 personality factors. In the morning, I'm an INTJ. In the evening, I become an IFSJ or something. So it kind of changes depending on your situation. Then there's also something called the Harrison assessment, which is really wonderful for determining if a person is fit for a certain job. And again, as a Gallup certified coach, I use the Clifton Strengths approach. Because this is somewhat very solid. In fact, when I asked my mother to take the assessment at age 85, so she agreed, she took the test, and then I asked her friends from the 1940s to please describe my mom when she was a young lady. And the way they described her appears in her report today as an 86-year-old great-grandmother. So there are certain personality qualities, competencies, or talents, as we call them, that do not change over time. So when you start investing in yourself and discovering what makes you unique, then you know that that's you for life, and you're just going to be more of who you are. So would you like to play a little game for us to discover what makes you unique? I'm going to show you a few slides, and all you need to do is type 1 or 2. Type 1 if you prefer the statement on the left, and type 2 if you prefer the statement at the right. Now, there are no right or wrong answers, and just answer the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, so would you rather spend time with a person you already know, or 2, meet new people in the room? So for example, there's no COVID restrictions, you go into a hotel, there's a party. Will you just go to the people you know, or will you just mingle with everybody else? We have different answers. None of them is right, none of them is wrong. It's just how we feel. Wonderful. Let's try another question. Would you rather see the big picture or see the small details? So are you the person who thinks of what is the big reason behind this, or are you like my accountant who looks at the decimal points and sees the small details? And there is a power to that. Either way, there is a power, there is an edge to that kind of talent that you possess. Next, we're all going to be different. If I ask you the question at this very moment, if somebody appears to you, would you rather meet your great-great-grandfather, somebody from the past, or would you like to meet your great-great-granddaughter, assuming that you would want to have children? So we all have different answers again, right? All different answers, and no one does the same number ones all the time. Not everyone does number 2 all the time. These are different kinds of answers. And here's the last one. Are you told that you kind of are the thinker in the family, or are you the doer? Would you be the one to think of all possibilities? Would you like to sit down under a tree and, imagine the future or think about the past? Or would you rather be the person who says, forget about thinking, let's just do it? And many people say, I can be both. Yes, everyone can be both. But what is that first thing that comes to your mind? That is that thing that makes you uniquely who you are. So as you can see, we have different answers, right? And here's the thing. When Gallup discovered through extensive research, there are 34 different combinations. And these are 34 talents that all of us possess. All of us possess these 34 qualities. How are you unique? Delia, how are you unique? Sylvia? It's because of the rating. There are certain talents here that you would say, I am more this than that. All these talents will help you think strategically. These talents can help you influence the right people. These talents can also help you take charge. And some of these talents will help you execute. But we have a different combination. In fact, the tendency of people would be to have very different talents across all these 4 domains. And guess what? When somebody says, Elias, you are 1 in a million. Elias can say, nope, I am not. I am not just 1 in a million. Because scientifically speaking, Aryan is 1 in 295 undecillion. This is trillion, trillion, trillion. This is proof that though no one was born in the past that is like you, no one is currently alive that is like you, and no one will be born in the future that is like you. There's only one you. So you have an obligation to be who you are. When you talk to someone and you wear that coaching hat, there is nobody else in the world who can be you. I can't wait to see the next batch of graduates coming from this call. Guys, it's time for you to determine how are you gonna, live the rest of your life. They say that the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. the next best time is today. If you think about education, the best time to enroll was 10 years ago. The next best time is today. Your future is waiting for you. So you guys really have to consider enrolling in this university. It's going to create a defining moment in your life. And the only thing that is stopping you is you. It's not about money because you can resource up. It's not about time because you can adjust your time. It's not about responsibilities. You can juggle that. The only thing that's holding you back is you making all of these different excuses. Thumbs up if you agree. So earlier we talked about, and I'm just making sure that you see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Now? All right, wonderful. So earlier we talked about the 3Ds, disruption and discovery. And now we're going to move forward to defining moments. You know, all of this has been in our heads, but so what? So what if you've decided you want to disrupt your life? So what if you've discovered the landscape? And so what if you think that you can, do something about it? You've discovered that you have the qualities that can make a difference. Unless you convert that into real defining moments in your life, nope. Unless you do that enrollment, nothing. So let me share with you the strength formula. How do you live a life of strength, a life of exuberance, a life of muy feliz? Sorry, JR, I don't know how to say it in Indonesian or okay. Muy feliz, exuberance, happy, extremely happy. How do you get that mindset? First, you start with your talent. That little activity we gave earlier, that was a little glimpse into what kinds of talents you possess. When you know that natural way of thinking or of feeling or behaving, that is who you are now. That's going to be who you are 1 week from now. That's who you are prior to enrolling in UTEL. And that's going to be who you are as a graduate of UTEL. That's going to be who you are as a coach. Those are the same talents that you will have. The difference is the investment that you put into it. Investment definitely is like putting in some money, right? But it's also about putting gasoline in a car. Investment is like the time that you spend practicing that talent so you can develop your skills, right? So that you can build your knowledge base. It's the investment that you put in. Without any investment, the talent just becomes nothing. But when you start investing in yourself, asking people how to help you improve, getting a coach even, then you can bring that talent into a level of strength. And what is strength? Strength is nothing but the ability to consistently provide near perfect performance. Let me break that down for you. Consistently provide. It doesn't mean that you provide it only on Mondays or only on Sundays because you can that day. It's every day you're able to provide that level of performance. And we're not talking about any level of performance. It's about a near perfect performance. It's extremely good. Think of your favorite sports hero. He does that in every game. That is a strength. And that's because of an investment that he did in his talents. So this is a formula. You can take a screenshot of this so that you know how to invest in your talents so that you will live a life of strengths, a life of muy feliz. All of us dream of having outputs, right? Outcomes. We all want to be the best, or we all want to be good at something. We all want to be that ear that people will, or that shoulder that people will lean on. That's a kind of outcome that we want in our lives. Think of yourself as an aspiring coach. What kind of coach are you going to be? That is the outcome that you're aspiring for. If you want that outcome, what you need to do is fix the behavior that leads to the outcome. By fix, I mean you apply behaviors that are appropriate to the outcome that you want. Simple. And that's why we have so many books out there telling us about leadership, so many books out there telling us how to start businesses, so many gurus trying to tell us how to think. They're trying to fix behavior. But one secret is that what drives behavior is your talent. Remember the 1 in 295 undecillion talent? That's you. Once you're able to hone in that, your life of trial and error is going to be lessened. You will have more successes than errors. And don't you want that for your future? Now, I know this is all theoretical. So is it okay if I share with you the talent profiles of 3 of my clients? Okay. And you can just imagine some of these clients probably somebody who's like this. Yuming is I changed the name, by the way, because in coaching everything is confidential. But we're celebrating their strength, so they're okay for me to share their talent profiles. Yuming is a lady who lives in Singapore, and I coached her because she's a leader of 160,000 members in an organization. So she has a global organization. And why did she ask for coaching? She wanted to see how she can be a better mother to her 2 children. She wasn't a bad mother. She was a good mother. One of her daughters is already, playing with a royal ballet in Russia or something. But she wanted to level up her motherhood. And Yuming used her talents, not just for her business, but also as a mom. The second one is Maria, and she's from Peru. Okay, I changed her name, but her name is Maria in this slide. She has talents like intellection, strategic talent, but she also has the developer talents. She wants to build people and improve their performance. You can guess she's in the HR field. Okay, she has a relator talent. She has a passion for deepening relationships with people. She wants consensus, that's harmony. And empathy is she knows how people feel. The empaths of the world. You enter a room, she knows if you're hungry. She knows if you're tired. I got to know her personally when I flew to Peru, and she knew exactly how I was feeling, even before I would utter any word. Okay. She eventually became a client, and she's using her talents to find her perfect Latino. Isn't that amazing? You use your talents for that as well. And then the third is Jack. So he works in Somalia for logistics. He uses his talents to discover, what's the best way for him to maneuver the aircrafts. Where are they going to land? How will they refuel? What's the best way for them to continue with their medical missions? All right. So these 3 different people have 3 different talents, very unique way of thinking. But when you discover your super talents, you can convert them into how you're going to be as a university student, how you're going to be as a master's degree student. It's going to lay down the foundation because you have your secret sauce that no one in the world can ever provide. Okay, I see a question from JR. What advice would you give to someone who's very clear with his why, but is a little hazy with finding his what's? How can one become better in deciding what to do to fulfill one's purpose? Great question, JR. I'm sure you're asking for a friend. You're not necessarily asking for you, right? Some people are very good and clear with their why. Let's say, for example, Yuming, this first talent here. She knew her why, but she was trying to find out, how can I determine the what? What are the steps? And when you look at these talents, the reason why she's having a difficulty determining her what's is because her talent, for example, like ideation, is going off the roof. She's thinking of all possible extensions of the why. So she's still focused on the why. Now you need to rein it in, and then use the talents to determine the what. And this is what coaching can do. You ask them the right questions because they have the answers in them. Some people think a coach tells you what to do. They don't. They don't. They actually ask you more than tell. We're not mentors. Okay. A coach is not an expert in your field. I have never led a group of 160,000 employees. She has. But she got me as a coach because she was asking for help in determining the what's. She knows she wants to be a wonderful mother. She knows she wants to be a good leader. But what are the steps? And this is where I put in certain discussions about, remember when we look at options, the way forward. Those are questions that you need to dive into. It's better to do it with a coach. If you do it with a friend, they'll probably tell you what you want to hear. If you do it with a mentor, they'll tell you what worked for them. But when you work with a coach, and when you are that coach to that person can decide on their own about the life they want to live. Jay, I hope that answered the question. Just give me a follow-up question if you have something else in mind. So these are people using their superpowers for themselves. But let me tell you one thing, and I know you all work with different people in an organization. You can also use talents to discover a team grid. So this is an example of a team that works together and they want to determine how they can achieve the goals they want. And you discover here, just through the talent report, that this is a team that lives on the frontier and the cutting edge of learning. They need to be part of something bigger than themselves. You can see connectedness is high. So these are the kinds of questions that you can use to trigger them to make decisions. It's about how connected they are to a bigger community. They're also known for the dependability, their loyalty, their speed. So just by looking at the profile of your team, you can actually help determine how they do their planning sessions for the year and how they're going to translate those planning sessions into performance management discussions. So when you're able to speak the language of your team members, you will see their growth, their tremendous growth. I have been honored to coach a group of people who are able to achieve their target, their annual target, in just half the time. Why? They use their talents. And more than that, as coaches, we also have the privilege of working with people close to our lives. This is my wife. This is a personal example of me having a lifelong partnership. Struggles are real, but understanding our talents enables us to argue more productively. We have arguments, but we argue more productively. We're able to celebrate our wins together. We respect how each one meditates, how each one prays. We plan for the future together. We parent better. And we love with one mind, one heart, one soul. Wouldn't you want to have that kind of life where the most important relationships in your life is not about trial and error? I have a son who's 13 years old, and I just realized in 5 years he'll be moving out of the house. I still have his toy with me, to remind me that I am his dad. And despite that, I know he's going to be an amazing kid because he can start discovering his talents and he can make decisions on his own. It's about having that one inspired heart with the people that mean so much to us. That same relationship you bring into the coaching conversation. You are not emotionally involved with your client, but you want the best for that person and you will be there as a coach to help them. And that's what disruptions, discovery, and defining moments are all about. Let me ask you this. If you were to be a coach, think about someone who will inspire you. Think about someone who means a lot to you, someone you personally know, somebody who has changed your life. And I'm always reminded of my father. He went through a life of disruption. He lived an impoverished life. But he was a really sturdy man. Growing up, he also worked hard so that he can send his siblings to school. Then he decided to join the military. He's in his uniform in the photo. But then I was disrupted when I was growing up because I was thinking, my dad, he does things for so many people. He doesn't ask for anything in return. At work, he would do all those tough things and then the promotion would go to someone else. So I said, when I grow up, I'm not going to be like my dad. I'm going to work hard, and I became AVP in a short period of time because I said, I'm going to disrupt my life. I'm not going to be like my dad. But there was a moment of discovery for me when my father passed away. You see, my father died a colonel. In the military, everybody aspires to be a general, to have a star on their shoulder. He did not get the general star. He died as a colonel. But when he died, A 4-star general went to the wake and asked permission from us if he can salute my father. Here was a 4-star high-ranking military official wanting to salute my dad. And that was my discovery. That is my dad. That's the guy I want to be. That's the inspiration. I want to be that kind of coach that will help people reach their stars. I don't care about my own stars. I care about yours. And I want to live my life with defining moments that will help other people. So I'd like you to chat in the room if you want to help others. If it's not going to be for you, is that part of your why? Just say, I want to help. And let me see that, because coaching is not about you. It's about how you're helping other people. And earlier in this talk, I asked permission if you wanted a very concrete example of how you can live an exuberant life. And it starts with helping others. I don't know if Abby's still in the call. Abby is the president of the board of Make-A-Wish Philippines. Abby, just say hi if you're there. This is a slide that's very important for me. I have been a volunteer for an organization called Make-A-Wish since 2006. Make-A-Wish is an organization that grants the wishes of children who have life-threatening conditions. Children whose lives are disrupted because a doctor tells them they can no longer go to school because they need to get chemotherapy. And here in the Philippines, sometimes children, when one of us visited, the sister said, my schedule to eat is tomorrow so that my brother can eat today. These are the kinds of lives of some of these kids. And what we do in Make-A-Wish is we try to ask them what is their one true wish, and we make that happen. And we ask them, what is one thing that will make you really, really excited? And you can imagine they want to go to Peru, right? Some of them ask for a pair of slippers or shoes. And that is for them their one true wish. And once they get that, they feel, I can do anything. I can fight this cancer. Because that thing that I've always wanted, maybe a gadget, maybe a cell phone, maybe a pair of shoes, I was able to get that through someone's help. So I help them raise funds. And the program that I'm introducing to you is called Strengths for Wishes. This is an opportunity for you to actually help people by funding a wish, but at the same time, it's going to go back to you. It's an opportunity for you to use this so that you can discover your unique talents. So in just the same breath that you're helping these kids, you're also helping yourself to discover what makes you amazing. And you really are. So this thing that you're going to learn is actually going to help make a difference in your career, in the relationships, in your business. And just imagine, this is the cost of just a few cups of coffee where you get your coffee. But that pricey coffee, if you just forgo that for a few weeks, you'll be getting benefits by discovering yourself, and that will last you a lifetime. So for those who log on, and I'm going to type it here in the chat, it's wishes.ph. Please log on, find out if it's something for you. If you want, then register. And my commitment is the first 10 people from this call who sign up, they're going to receive a free coaching session with me. Sounds good? So I hope this is a wonderful start for your 2022. Remember, you can disrupt, you can discover, and you can achieve those defining moments just by being the best version of you. Thank you. So there you go. Thank you so much for this opportunity.